Hello and welcome to this special edition of our program, and in this special edition we will shed more light on the Iranian-Israeli war, as in a fear of retaliatory Iranian action after Sunday's U.S. attack that followed more than a week of Israeli bombardments. The U.S. State Department issued a worldwide caution for Americans, saying the conflict in the Middle East could put those traveling or living abroad at increased risk. The State Department Security Alert said that there is the potential for demonstrations against U.S. citizens and interests abroad, and advised U.S. citizens worldwide to exercise increased caution. And the viewers to know more about the Iranian response to U.S. attacks on its nuclear sites, let's watch this report.
As the world braced on Monday for Tehran's response to the U.S. attack on its nuclear sites, and U.S. President Donald Trump praised the idea of regime change in the Republic, Iran and Israel traded air and missile strikes. This as Iran vowed to defend itself a day after the U.S. joined Israel in the biggest Western military action against the country since its 1979 revolution, despite calls for restraint and a return to diplomacy from around the world. Commercial satellite imagery indicated the U.S. attack on Saturday on Iran's subterranean Fordow nuclear plant severely damaged or destroyed the deeply buried site and the uranium-enriching centrifuges it housed. However, experts said the status of the site remained unconfirmed. In his latest social media comments on the U.S. strikes, Trump said monumental damage was done to all nuclear sites in Iran. Trump earlier called on Iran to forego any retaliation and said the government must now make peace or future attacks would be far greater and a lot easier. Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Dan Kane, told reporters the U.S. launched 75 precision-guided munitions, including bunker-buster bombs, and more than 24 Tomahawk missiles against 3 Iranian nuclear sites. The UN nuclear watchdog, the International Atomic Energy Agency, said no increase in off-site radiation levels had been reported after the U.S. strikes. Rafael Grossi, the agency's Director General, said it was not yet possible to assess the damage done underground. Tehran, which denies its nuclear program is for anything other than peaceful purposes, sent a volley of missiles at Israel in the aftermath of the U.S. attack. However, it had not acted on its main threats of retaliation to target U.S. bases or choke off oil shipments that pass through the Strait of Hormuz.
And we are joined over the phone by His Excellency Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Good afternoon, Mr. Ambassador.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Good, sir. So how do you read international reactions to the U.S. attacks on Iranian nuclear sites?
To me, it is a very complicated situation.
Yes.
Because Israel was attacking Iran. Then no reason for any other country to attack Iran, especially that Iran proved that it has no nuclear weapons, while Israel has nuclear weapons, and they do not deny this. So I do not see any reason for the United States to come and to attack the Iranians. But of course, the goal is to weakening Iran and to stop its impact on the south of Lebanon, or helping the Houthi in Yemen, things like that. But it is very complicated that a country which has no nuclear weapon to be punished because that country which has nuclear weapon is attacking them. And we have to live with this complication. and we have seen things against any logic in the United States, in the United Nations, where the veto is following every try from any country like us to stop this aggression. And it is amazing that the Americans voted against stopping the war in Gaza or the two-state solution, which is requested by the whole world. So we have to live with this and wait and see. But I am sure that in the long run, we are going to win this battle.
And today, Mr. Ambassador, the Iranian foreign minister is visiting Russia, and he held talks with Vladimir Putin, the Russian president, and in which the Russian president condemned the U.S. strikes on Iran. How do you see Russia's reaction to this attack? And do you expect it to support Iran in its war?
It seems that Iran needs more and more weapons and more military support.
Yes.
And they are asking the Russians to do that. Why the Russians are reluctant to do this? Because they do not want to be in a sort of confrontation against the United States, and they don't need this. So it is another complication in this sort of relations. And Iran has to defend itself by itself, because I do not think that Russia will help them a lot.
And sir, how would the U.S. strikes on Iran affect American interests and military bases in the region?
It raises hatred against the United States without any reason. I don't see any reason that the Americans attack Iran, but they seize the opportunity to weaken Iran, because it's an intervention in Lebanon, it's intervention with Hamas, and it's intervention in Yemen. So it is another proof that the American has no reason to attack Iran. But c'est la vie. This is what we have to see and to live with. But I think in the long run, we are going to win this battle. Why? Because Israel itself cannot continue longer war or a war on different borders. They cannot tolerate this for a long time. And the good news that even Israelis, 500,000 Israelis left the country in a sort of migration, opposite migration from Israel to their own original countries. So, as the magazine The Economist described rightly, that what Israel is building of settlements, it will be in a day or another ghost houses. They do not have citizens to live in those places where they are building. So wait and see, and I admire with all sympathy the Palestinian resistance, and as we all see that the Palestinians, although they are their houses are destroyed, but even the children and the old people are going back to their houses with all dominations that they will not leave their country, and the Palestinian resistance will win this battle for sure at the end of the day.
So, Mr. Ambassador, if Iran takes the decision of closing Hormuz Strait, what are the repercussions of this decision?
Iran is trying to protect itself.
Yes.
And, but I don't think that they will go up till this decision, although the parliament accepted, but they wouldn't do it unless they are highly forced to do that. And then it is a war, and you have to expect everything whenever the war is there. It is their right to defend themselves by all means, in my opinion.
So, Mr. Ambassador, what diplomatic efforts are underway to avoid direct U.S.-Iranian military confrontation?
We are trying everywhere. We are encouraging both sides not to retaliate.
Yes.
And but unfortunately, when we went to the United Nations system, it seems that the American veto is stopping any efforts for peace efforts. So it is a strange position also that the international organization cannot act freely, while the American veto is against any trial of us or any other countries to stop the war. But 154 countries voted in the General Assembly with the Palestinian question, but it has no effective action because of the American veto in the Security Council.
So, sir, how is the United States balancing its alliance with Israel and its broader strategic interests in the Gulf region?
No, I don't think that there is a conflict between the two.
Yes.
Because in the end of the day, the establishment of Israel suits very much the idea of Napoleon, who wants to plant a foreign country in this area to stop the relation between Arab in the Mashriq and the Arab in the Maghreb, and to be the soldier of the West to do whatever they want. And Israel is playing this role actively. But in the long run, still I say in the long run, there isn't a future for a country with an enemy, with enemies around it from all the borders. I do not see any case like that in the whole world, that a country is making itself an enemy to all its neighbors. How can they live in the long run? And the drainage of Israel to the American finance and the American armies is too much. And even now in the internal political life in the United States, many people are against this, because the government of the United States was on the time to declare its bankruptcy, except when the Congress allows them to borrow more and more. And this bankrupted government is giving Israel cash money, $14.5 billion, and weapons and support by all its means. This is not normal at all, and I don't think that the American government can continue like that. When I say American government, I mean the American president, because some people in his own party do not agree with what he's doing.
Yes. So, sir, if we talk about the world economy and to what extent it is affected by this war,
Of course, it's affected. The airway traffic is affected. Yes. The tourism in our country, it's affected. But thank God that our Arab neighbors are flooding our tourist areas. And of course, the energy is affected, food supply, transport is affected. But I think this will take, the solution will take place in the short run, because I bet on that Israel cannot continue a war for a long time, or a war in all the neighbor fronts.
Yes, so this is my coming question to you. How can Israel maintain this war with Iran, with Palestinians? They are still bombing Palestinians. So it's a harsh war on Israel. So what's your take on this?
This is the point I want to stress, that Israel cannot continue a war for a long time, or a war in many fronts like that. So it is a matter of time. They cannot continue like that, and one day they will be stopped.
Yes. So finally, I'd like to thank you, Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Thank you, Mr. Ambassador, for being with us. And the viewers, by that we come to the end of our special coverage. For now, stay tuned for more coming up on Nile TV International.